Now, Brigadier, the primary reason why I referred you to this statement, we were talking about the issue of the description of the firearm that some of the witnesses that were present in the house described to the police officers initially at the beginning of this investigation.
That is correct, my lord. And indeed, if one looks at the paragraph on A46, the interview with Ms. Kelly Khumalo, she does say it's an old revolver.
Let me read to you what Kelly says so that I avoid a copyright strike. So she says, first of all, I've never seen a gun ever in my life, so imagine what I was going through. I had children in my house, and I had my family in my house, and these intruders as well in the house. I had, at some point, I forgot my children. That's what happened to me at that point. And when I came back to my senses, I remembered that I actually have children in the house, and I wanted to protect my children. At the same time, I wanted to protect myself. So it was just a whole lot of things happening at once and very confusing. And I felt so powerless because I am almost that person who wants to protect. I'm always that person who wants to be there for the people who need me. But at that particular time, I just had to be there for myself. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoyed the reading. That is the words of Kelly Khumalo, okay? Speaking very loud and clearly about the fact that she wanted to be there for herself. So somebody please tell me about the Zandi Mapopolo version that says we ran up to the intruder and we attacked him. Kelly was the first one there, and then SENZO, and then and. That's Kelly's version. Kelly's version is she wanted to be there for herself. She even forgot she had children. What? But let's continue listening on. She says she has never seen a gun herself. The main reason I wanted to play this clip for you, but I decided to read it instead, was because she says, I've never seen a gun before. So how would she know it's an old revolver? If you've never seen a gun before, how do you know if it's new or old? Let me know in the comment section down below.
But furthermore, my lord, during the lunchtime, I had an opportunity to peruse some of the statement, not completely, but I can say A9 by Mr. Longwe, specifically paragraph 6, says it was a revolver. A9 paragraph 6. The same assertion, my lord, is also said by A10, Mr. Tumelo Madlala, in paragraph 5, where he says it's a 38 special when he described the firearm that he saw. But what is prudent, my lord, is that subsequent to this statement, there were further statements taken where some of these witnesses were then correcting what was contained, where they said they've got no experience with firearms, they could not have said that and all that and all that. But this is what was said initially at the beginning. Yes, my lord.
And to be fair to you as well, Tumelo Madlala, when he was asked on this aspect, he says he could not have mentioned the word revolver or .38, but that the firearm that he observed was the one with a wheel. That's the rider or the proviso that he put when he testified in this court.
Well, my lord, I wasn't in court, but I've got no reason to doubt what Mr. Ramsikul is saying. But it will be difficult for me to comment on his evidence.
I will come back and canvass with you at a much later stage, Exhibit J again, especially when it pertains to the identification of accused number 2, Mr. Ntanzi. Because from what I've read here, all of the people that were in the house, when they met Miss Amanda Steenkamp for the compilation of this report, they all stated to her that they could not identify the second suspect. And you can confirm that from what I've read from Exhibit J. Is that correct?
Yes, I can confirm what is written in Exhibit J, but Exhibit J, my lord, is the notes made by Warrant Officer Steenkamp. Yes. So to make the right context, one needs also to look at the statements made by the people who were inside the house, because they do give a description. Even if it's not accurate, they do, to the best of their ability, describe the first suspect, and the second suspect. But I agree insofar as Exhibit J, but that does, it's basically an extract of what Warrant Officer Warrant Officer Steenkamp was doing, but there are statements of the people who were in the house insofar as the description of the suspects.
Uzovumelana-ke nami uma ngithi-ke kuloko kubhalwe uyena-ke uSteenkamp lana ukuthi bonke kofakazi bayashoka ukuthi-ke abakwazi-ke ukuthi bamchaze noma bamshoke lo owesibili-ke umsolwa. Yebo, ngiyakuvuma-ke lokho, kodwa lokho kumayelana kuphela-ke nama-notes noma lokho okwabhalwa uyena-ke u-Warrant Officer Steenkamp, kodwa kunama-statements ofakazi-ke abamchazayo-ke noma-ke bengekho-ke accurate uma singasebenzisa lelo gama-ke noma-ke bengasho ngqo, kodwa-ke kunalaba abamchaza khona-ke lo owesibili umsolwa.
And just for clarification purposes, still on Exhibit J, the witnesses T. Makeleni and the ones P. were, although it's incorrectly spelled, these were people that were not in the house at the Khumalo household on the 26th of October 2014. Is that correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Let's come to this aspect where you say, on it's paragraph 3, investigations revealed that the cell phone which was robbed was picked up through cell phone towers until the signal was lost, covering the area of Phosphorus Hostel.
Yes, my lord.
At the time you deposed to this affidavit A225,
yes,
were you also in possession of the cell phone records, both of the people that were in the house and some of the people that are suspects or now accused in this matter?
Yes, I had the cell phone record. That's correct, my lord. But I was also guided by the cell phone analyst at that time, because Colonel Stein was already on board and he had already disposed affidavits. And I do recall that I also made a site visit of where this Muleleki Tower is situated.
Okay. Now you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, according to your information, Muleleki Tower services, you say, a hostel in Phosphorus. Which hostel are we referring to?
My lord, I was referring to Basutino Hostel. And as I said again, my lord, these expertise were based on the knowledge or the expect information that was given to me by Kenneth Stein. But like I said, also the site visit for myself to see where exactly this tower. It is not far from the hostel, meaning now the scene where the alleged meeting took place before the killing of the deceased and after. It's just across the road, between Phosphorus and when you go towards Katlehong. So that's the explanation that it gave to me to say this tower can cover that hostel in terms of the distance. But it was not to say, my lord, on that specific day. The assertion that I'm making is not to say that on that specific day, this tower, when the signal was sent, it was active and covering that, but it was say the range. That's the explanation Kenneth Stein told me, that the distance could cover the hostel. That was my understanding.
Brigadier, to be fair to you, and I requested time on Monday to go and revisit all of the evidence that has been covered thus far. And I don't want to put a wrong proposition to you. So this aspect of you saying Muleleki Tower covers the range of the Basotweni hostel, I've got a different understanding, but I want to verify that from Ms. Vaitilingham's evidence before I put it as a proposition to you. So I'll also mark it as one of the aspects that I will park.
Yes, it is fine, my lord. But the context that I'm saying, and I want to repeat, my lord, is said the distance where the tower was and where the Basutino hostel, and that's my recollection of the explanation by Kenneth Stein, could cover that hostel in terms of the distance. What he did not say to me is that on that specific day, that tower was active. All he told me is that this is a tower that picked up the cell phone, Muleleki section, and I wanted to know where is this tower in relation to where the meeting took place. And obviously my next question is that, could it cover this place in terms of distance? And the answer was yes.
Listen, I've always wanted to ask you guys, when Ramasipili is doing his cross-examination, keep watching Advocate Mnisi, guys. He's hilarious, okay? And I need to ask you guys, does Advocate Mnisi hear with his eyes? Because every time he does these expressions, especially when Gininda is stuck in a question, hilarious, and now he's holding his hands is on his mouth. It is just hilarious to me. I just had to zoom it in for you guys. Let me know if you also catch on to that. Umnisi sees. No, Umnisi hears with his eyes, because tell me, why does he always have to squint his eyes, move his face forward when he is listening, especially when he is doing the cross-examination? It is even worse. Let me know. Drop a 2 in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have seen him do this. But let's talk about Brigadier Gininda for a second. Where the hell is Basutwini Hospital? I thought it was Basutu Hostel. Why does he say Basutwini? Where is that? But you know what? Asikolapo. So Ram says to him, listen, with regards to the Moleki Tower services, I'm going to be fair with you. Let's park that and then I'll come back. Let me go and do my research and I'll come back. Let's put it on our homework tab, okay? Let's put it on our homework section. You know, we have other things that we need to cover. We'll come back to this one. The first homework assignment was what? Rams needed to know which are the witnesses that said a 38 revolver. So they parked it. Guess what? They went for lunch. They came back. Gininda said, forget about doing this next week, Wednesday. While I was on lunch, I went ahead and I perused through the statements. You see, the defense is having Gininda not even going for lunch. He didn't go for lunch. He had to peruse. He had to do his homework in advance because he was not waiting until Wednesday. Okay? So he came back after lunch and he tells us it was who? It was Olongwe Twala. Okay, and it was who? Utumelo Madlala. And Tumelo Madlala says 38 special. And then Ram says, well, Tumelo, when he was here inside Pakati, the courtroom, he said there's no way he could have said 38 special or revolver. He doesn't even know what those words are. What he specifically said was it was a firearm with a will. Gininda says what? Zui. Gininda says, well, I cannot comment on Tumelo's statement. I wasn't in court. Sir, where did that confidence go? Because you were going on and on a second ago. And now that he says Tumelo didn't say that, he said a firearm with the wheel. Now you're going to tell us you were not in court. Why were you going into so much detail before? But now that, Rams has a comeback for you, you are going to plead the fifth and say I wasn't in court. But you know what? We'll let it go. Okay. Now here's where it gets interesting. Tumelo says, let's park the Moleki Tower situation. I want to go back to my notes from Upinki and then we'll come back on Wednesday. We'll talk about it. Gininda, Mr. Over-Explainer, Mr. Subsequently, Mr. I don't like homework. I like to do things on the spot because I like to talk. Mr. But what is prudent, my lord? Oh, my goodness. Wow. He goes into a long-ass explanation. Okay, and then he talks and then he says, and then I was on site, I went there, and then it was across the street, and then why could he not let Rams go do his research? Whatever happened to, okay, let me let it go. Is that not interesting? Let's continue on because, the Honorable Brigadier Gininda has a lot to tell us.
And then you also mentioned that the investigation which resulted in evidence under oath revealed that the victim was murdered as a contractual assassination or hit rather than a robbery or robbery gone wrong. Can you elaborate on that and what statements and evidence did you rely on to come to make such an assertion?
Yes, my lord. I think one statement that comes from the top of my mind is the one of Kwabeni, Sifiso Zungu. It guided me to that effect because he places the 5 accused, and I think it talks to that issue of contextual killing. There are other statements, my lord, which may be involving not collectively but some of the accused. Individually, for example, accused 3 and 4, where almost similar assertions are made. So there are different statements in the docket, and I can be specific, my lord, if that is needed. But one of them, like I said, it's Sifiso Zungu. No, Sifiso Zungu and Kwabeni is one and the same person.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Brigadier, just to come back to Exhibit J, just one point. I forgot to ask you, this, the fifth witness to Ms. Tienkamp's ID kit compilation, Mr. T. Makeleni. What
Yes.
is his status? Is he still alive or is he a deceased person?
No, he's a deceased person, my lord, currently. We also obtained, I think, his death certificate. He passed on, unfortunately, before this trial commenced.
And then further you say, evidence under oath revealed that 6 suspects actively participated in the planning and execution of the contractual murder of SENZO MEYIWA at the directive of Kelly Khumalo. Currently we have, before standing and sitting before this court, 5 accused persons, and in the statement it says 6 suspects actively participated in the planning and execution. Who is the 6th suspect?
It's Miss Kelly Khumalo, my lord. Remember this statement, I was applying for the warrant of arrest for Miss Kelly Khumalo, so she would have been the 6th suspect. This one, at that time, we already arranged. They'd already made their first appearance, so this was November. So I was now moving towards Miss Kelly Khumalo to be added. So she was the 6th suspect.
Singer Kelly Khumalo.
Kelly Khumalo. Singer Kelly Khumalo.
Singer Kelly Khumalo. Kelly Khumalo. Kelly Khumalo.
Kelly Khumalo. Kelly Khumalo. Definitely Kelly Khumalo.
I want to make sure I put a disclaimer. I did not create that little clip right there, and I'm thoroughly enjoying sharing it. It was put up by Miss Kelly Khumalo herself, of course, after her name has been mentioned loud and clear by Brigadier Bongani Nicholas. Okay, Gininda. That is Kelly Khumalo's official statement with regards to being named accused number 6. But let me not bother you. Let's keep going, because I told you already, the Brigadier has a lot to say and he will say it. And to me now, listening to this again, it sounds like if he is going down, so is everybody else. Listen, he says, I was applying for Kelly Khumalo's arrest warrant, and he says it without fear or shame or favor, with his whole chest out, that there was an arrest warrant for Kelly Khumalo. But my question still remains the same. What do you say now, Zandile Mapopola Khumalo, who pointed out Ubongani Ntanzi, accused number 2, in, at the time it was Judge Maumela's courtroom? What do you say now? Now that your sister is actually implicated, are you going to withdraw your statements? Are you going to retract? Are you going to uncry? What is the global plan? We, members of the jury's experts here on the YouTube streets, we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comment section down below, okay? I want to hear your thoughts. Let's continue on.
And on page, the next page, or at the top, you say, this suspect, Nqondondondo Kelly Khumalo in brackets, is first linked by means of confessions that were made by both accused 1 and 2. Let me pause it here. On this aspect, further down in my cross-examination, I'm going to touch specifically on the confession statements, exhibits HH and JJ, allegedly made by accused number 2. So this point I'll pack it now and then move it forward. It says, investigations further revealed that she had 4 other cell phones that she did not disclose to the police when the incident took place, and then the numbers are the ones that I mentioned. Now, what was the relevance of saying she had these other 4 cell phones that she did not reveal? The significance thereof for you to put it in this statement?
Indeed. No, so the relevance of it, my lord, one will recall that if one reads the exhibits, the confessions made by accused 1 and 2, somewhere in the confessions there is appearances where it is alleged that accused 3 was communicating with, sometimes they call it sisters and so forth. It's what is alleged there, my lord. And these sisters is being referred as Kelly Khumalo. Now, when one took the cell phone records that the section 205 that were done on the two numbers that were known at the time, this is now the runaway phone that picked up the tower from the Lekki section, and the 082 number that was not taken, there is no communication there that you can find in an open thing except the downloads in the 082 number. But even that downloads, my lord, that links accused number 5 does not is not happening on the day of the incident. In other words, the other one happened on the 2nd of August, the other one is the 15th of October. That is now prior to the commission of this offense. The relevance of me mentioning this thing is that seeing that there were these numbers that were in a possession and active, it is a possibility that this assertion that there was this communication was lying in those numbers that were not known to the police at the time. By the time we came to know about them, the window period to get the communication of 3 years had lapsed, and we could not get a device to actually do the downloading. So that is the relevance of mentioning these numbers. But furthermore, my lord, what is important or prudent to mention is that this transpired during the collaboration process. As I said, statements are made, confessions needed to be collaborated. So this assertion that it is alleged that there was this communication between accused 3 and Ms. Kelly Khumalo was missing in terms of the date, because it's being said that it was happening on the day of the offense. So it was, it's something that one needed to know. But how could it be? Because we do have the cell phone records of Ms. Kelly Khumalo, the 2 cell phones, and that seems not to be there. And that is how now the cell phone expert, Kenneth Stein, was able to establish and link these 4 numbers, that these numbers belongs to her, they were active, and they were not disclosed to the police at the time. Yes.
Now, Kenneth Stein deposed to Exhibit 01 and 02, which at the moment I don't have them in front of me. But amongst other things, he listed about 8 numbers, including landlines, that Kelly Khumalo used at the time, and as to each number, when she started using the number and when the period of using that number ended. The question then becomes, of these 4 numbers, did you determine if Kelly Khumalo was using 6 cell phones on the night in question? That is, these 4 numbers, the 082 number and the 2498 number. Was she using 6 cell numbers on the 26th of October 2014?
Yes, that's the understanding I got, my lord. So one will recall that what she disclosed to the police, it's the runaway phone, the phone that was never recovered, and the phone that was downloaded, where the linkage with the alleged phone of accused 5 was picked up. So that was disclosed, it's in the docket, the numbers are listed. These 4 that I'm referring to, it's what the analysts found, that they were active, but they were not made available to the police. Hence, there's no section 205s that were done at the time, and there was no downloadings done on those numbers. And I'm saying this, my lord, also perhaps to put it in the right context, is that at the time when I made this application for the arrest of Ms. Kelly Khumalo, that was the information available to me from Kenneth Stein. But subsequent to that, it was an ongoing analysis that he was embarking on. So it is not surprising that, as Mr. Ramsipile, that in other statements, the numbers are more, because it was an ongoing investigation. Particularly, my lord, I'm saying this investigation towards Ms. Kelly Khumalo, because one will remember I've indicated that before the 5 accused were processed and brought before court, there was a desire, based on the information that we had, to add Ms. Kelly Khumalo. But it was clear during our discussion with our colleagues that more investigation needed to be done. Now, it then takes us to the statement of November that Mr. Ramsipile refers to. And then subsequent to that, obviously engaging with the NPA, there was also a desire that we need to collect more. Hence, you will see the numbers increasing and all other things that came up that we even didn't discuss and that we did not even cover in this court, because it's not relevant at this stage, my lord.
When did the police, the investigative team, discover these 4 numbers?
It will be prior to me making that statement, my lord. I will have to go through the docket to establish, but they were discovered by Kenneth Stein, as I said. So it was after the confessions were made, because it is after the confessions were made where it was now becoming, or this assertion was made that Ms. Kelly Khumalo, it's alleged that he gave the instructions and there was a communication. So the desire to establish or to find that communication started there. And it would have been around that period where Kenneth Stein then discovered these numbers in trying to collaborate obviously what was contained in the statement, and that statement would have been made after that.
We don't have any timelines, but at some point they found Kelly Khumalo has 4 extra cell phones. Not much information because there's no section 205 because the time had lapsed. So why are we talking about these cell phones? But you know what? The good brigadier has brought it up. He's made his inferences and he's found that it is prudent to mention, my lord, that it is not relevant at this stage, my lord. AKA, shut up, Ramasipili. Don't ask me that question. I don't know the answer, and I also don't want to answer it because you will be cornering me, and I will not be able to get out of that corner. And at this stage, because what do you mean 50,000 subscribers? Me? Us? The Digress family? Let's do it. Let's show off, let's shout out, and let's do it. Together we can. Okay, I'll catch you on my next upload. Thank you so much, everybody. Mzansi Unfiltered, checking out. Catch you on my next upload.
My lord, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.